little evidence for the belief that the medieval welfare was conducted in a clamorous spirit, generosity to beat foe from normal confines to noble because of the ransom that would be fetched. Lesser folks were quietly dispatched, and again courtship to the English butcher and the aristocratic prison that could not be spared, men to guard them, soldiers captured, the town expected to allow to kill and pillage, the luckiness inhabited as blah blah blah. The ideal king. Chivalry comes from the French and the word chivalry, a horseman that is meant for the code and contact followed by the brave, absolute loyal to his lord, and courtship protected of the women, children, and the weak. The church encountered the ideas of the kingdom when a young man became a knight. He kept all the churches vigilant, took a bath, washed away his sins, and claimed himself in a scarlet cloak, signifying blood, black stocks to remain his death, a white belt of purity. Their heir, Henry V, was a 9-month-old baby, and during his ministry proclaimed the council noble carried on into the gentle youth, interested in public affairs, anxious to do his duties to his subjects. His health, however, became declining, increased clear he was not strong enough to stand up to the pressures laid upon him. The war in France was going badly, and those he wanted to impress were delighted by Henry V married a French princess, Margaret Anne Antoinette. The marriage had intensified with struggles between the peace and the purity led stockfolk and the war pantries led in their king. The king's uncle was suddenly government and surrendered to France. In Kent and England's army was defeated by Normandy, was lost. When the Duke of York came forward as a champion of all who opposed the pathetic king of his circle of friends, and this stage for civil war. Okay, I didn't say that. That's what the book said. During Henry V's youth, the most powerful personalities of the court were his uncle, John Duke Benford, who was often in France. The good qualities, he was brave, well educated, made him all more dangerous because they won him his popularity for picking quarrels. As the leader of the war party, he began a long-handed with the king's great uncle and the earl who had arranged Henry's marriage. Meanwhile, a young man came to that. Yeah, I gotta get married. Ah. The War of the Roses began. The dowry. The battle for England, the War of the Roses, lasted 30 years, battled and fought all over the Midland and the North, one of which towns was far bloodier than haste. One of the members of the royal house of 7 was killed by 5 others and were murdered and executed. Of the great peer of the realm of 31 were killed and 20 executed. Fortunately for England, the tale of disaster goes on further. None of the walls of town suffered a slack or even a siege. London came near to it, and the first battle was plagued after Wakefield was put in the whole 30 years. Armies were in the field for only 13 weeks. There was no one laying waste of the countryside, no slaughter of civilization, nor many less bounds of the likes of those who sought havoc on the countries. In fact, it all was well conducted, struggling between the nobles and their paid followers. The population of the whole could not be involved in the greater effect of the war was the sense of shock to the country that the noble and the dishonest to the town people throughout the war. Most of the town had little difficulty in remaining aloof.